Hiya folks, as many of you know, I'm Karl-James Langford, and I've had a YouTube channel for actually the best part of 15 years. And it's only in the past sort of 3 years that I've managed to get, the numbers that I've actually got. I'm leaving this recording today because of Ross Broadstock. Now, his popularity was so much that he managed to achieve in a very short space of time, which took me a decade and a half to do. So it proves his popularity. Whether you agreed with the guy or not, I know people that absolutely can't stand Ross Broadstock, but I know other people who absolutely love Ross Broadstock. For the sake of argument, let's call him Ross. I'm one of those that respected Ross. And one of the things with that respect is that I'm getting very much bothered by his legacy at this minute not being respected for what it is. And what it is whether you agree with what Ross was saying. At least he got out there and did something. At least he got out there and put himself on a camera and put himself in the firing line. And have most of you guys done that? And that's the point. I've got people who absolutely hate me, right? I've had people that have made death threats against me, a professional archaeologist. I've had people tampering with my car, nearly killing myself and my daughter. I've had all sorts of things, right? Because I've been in a firing line. I've put my family at risk and I've put my children at risk. Ross went out there and made sure that people were aware of history. His type of history, someone else's type of history, my type of history, because I know he respected me. And the point is he was doing something about it. Now, you can be critical of him. You can be supportive of him. But guys, just get together and support his legacy. Now, there's 3 factions out there at this minute, right? And I'm not in contact with the other faction, but there are 3 factions out there, right? One faction on Facebook, British Hidden History, and British Hidden History Uncensored. And the other faction is a faction that don't really want to talk about. But what I would like to say is that the legacy of Ross should see you all discussing history. And if you don't like something that somebody else is saying, then it's tough. This is supposed to be a democratic country and a free country. I know that Ross disagreed with lots of things that I was saying as a professional archaeologist. But he still spoke to me and he still supported me. And Ross came to my rescue when I needed him the most. I didn't have a piece of land to take a building from the Second World War, which was unique in South Wales, a watchtower. That building, the National Museum of Wales said, it's going to take us 6 months to work out what to do with this. You can do all the field work, karl-james Langford and Archaeology Company, right? You can pay for whatever, and then eventually you can bring it to St. Fagans or whatever. Well, Associated British Ports said, we don't have 6 months. We've got weeks. We need it down. You can have it, but it needs to go. And I just thought, well, I live in West Wales. I could have brought it down to West Wales, put it here, nice, lovely, right? But it's no good in West Wales. It's an artefact from South Wales. It needs to stay in South Wales. So I thought, well, Ross said he had a bit of land in the Vale of Glamorgan. And he said, well, why did he bring it here? Well, that's where we took it. It turned out that we couldn't actually put it on his land. We could put it on his neighbour's land. So that was great. But it was Ross that put himself on the line, disagreed with me on some things, but he still was there when I needed him, right? You guys, all of you, stop this bickering, right? Get out there and agree and disagree, but save our bloody history and heritage. I'm sick of all this badger baiting with people who actually really care about history. Do you know what, right? History tells us that the people of Cymru, if we had been united, those people over the border would never have taken a foothold in our country. It's the same with the Irish. They bickered. The Normans and the English took over Ireland. Oliver Cromwell later on and all the rest of it. Scotland bickered. And look what happened to William Wallace. The fact of the matter is, what we've got to do, we've got to own history. It's our history and archaeology. How dare us disagree that it's not important? And by bickering, you're saying it's not important because your point of view is more important than somebody else's. So what? Right? Get over it. As far as I'm going to say it, right? I believe, let's just wind people up, right? And then I want you to agree and disagree. And this is my opinion. For example, King Arthur. I believe that King Arthur was many people, right? I believe at one stage King Arthur was a very popular name for about 150 years from the 400s into the 600s, whatever. And lots of people, leaders, kings, queens, whatever, right, were called King Arthur, right? And there's lots of places where King Arthur's buried. There's an obvious link with Glastonbury. There's an obvious link with Cornwall. There's an obvious link with Northern England. There's an obvious link with South Wales. An obvious link with Brittany. Right? There's an obvious link with everywhere. Right? But that's my opinion on King Arthur. Let's mention people. Right? And I don't think she would mind. Monica. Right? Monica, you're out there watching this. Right? You will completely disagree with everything I said. But Monica, I know you respect my point of view. Right? I know people, Monica, who don't like you, right? You know people who don't like me, right? But you've got an opinion and I've got an opinion, right? And what we need to do is work together on things that we agree. One of the things that really upsets me, right, is not now the legacy of Ross, which we've now got to make sure that that's there, whatever, is Blackett and Wilson, right? We're talking about, right, Baron Blackett and Alan Wilson. Alan Wilson's 90, right? Lots of archaeologists and historians don't agree with anything Blackett and Wilson has ever said, right? But he put himself on the line and published his research, whether you agree with it or disagree, right? There's loads of stuff. There's legacy of Blackett and Wilson. If you guys don't watch it, will just disappear, right? When Alan's not going to live to 120, right? So that's 30 years away. And what are we going to do with his legacy? If you're going to be bickering now, right? Respect all these people who have put themselves on the line and made a difference. Whether you agree or disagree, at least they put themselves on the line. There's a chap in Caerphilly Mountain, right? Where he's going to be watching this, right? I was speaking to him for a while, right? And he was saying some very toxic things about a number of people, right? And it was just like, why are you being so toxic, right? And that individual knows who he is. And if he wants to come back at me, right, he can, right? But I'm going to say, right, people who are toxic, I don't need them in my lives, right? But what you need to do is chill out and you've got to, do you know what, right? Nothing's going to be done in history and archaeology in Wales, England, Scotland, if people keep bickering, right? If people keep slagging each other off and putting the knives in all the time, right? I will put the knives into Cadw. I will put the knives into the Glamorgan Grant Archaeological Trust. I will put the knives into those clowns that get paid and we presume that they're protecting our history and archaeology. They are fair game. Those are the bastards you need to go after. Cadw, Glamorgan Grant Archaeological Trust. Those are the people that you need to go after, not fight amongst yourselves. This is a 10-minute rant, right? Get over it, work together, and just sort of, I tell you what I expected with the legacy of Ross Rodstock by now is that you guys were having regular meetings. You guys were doing a hell of a lot more than you're doing, right? Just get on with it. I tell you what, it's not that hard. I've got a full-time job. I'm an actor. I'm an author. I still do my archaeological work, right? But I find time to do YouTube. It's a little bit of extra income for me, right? I do my TikTok as well as James a Pirate. I got time to do it. Some of you people sit on your backsides doing nothing all day watching this stuff, right? Get out there, get off your backsides and do something about history and archaeology for once. Stop moaning and groaning, slagging people off, putting the knives in. Do something for history and archaeology, because one day those buildings that you're moaning about will be gone because you can't be bothered to do anything. So, don't upset me again. Don't see me ranting again, because I'll be coming after every single one of you if you don't get your fingers out and do something for our history and archaeology before it's too late. Otherwise, you're a complete bunch of clowns. Do something now.